songs from an album we got called Born Again and some others you're gonna know. Here's one called War Pigs. Thank you.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches act like masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerers of death's construction. In the fields the bodies burning, as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed mind. Yow! Yow! Oh! Yow! Oh! Yow! Oh! I knew it! Politicians hide themselves away. They only started the war. Why should they all go out to fight? They leave that all to the power. Time will tell on their power minds. Waging war just for fun, treating people just like pawns in chess, until the judgment day comes. Oh, yeah. Yo! Oh! Yo! Oh! Oh! I need it. This world stops turning, ashes where the bodies are burning. No more war pigs have the power, hand of God has struck the hour. Day of judgment, God is calling. On the knees, the war pigs crawling, begging mercy for the sins. Satan laughing spreads his wings. Ow! Yeah!
our great friends we met during the summer. It's called Zero the Hero.
Magic in the music and the eat by liver. people, but you really need stuffing. You're gonna be brother Zero, the hero. Don't you wanna be brother Zero, the hero? When you gonna be brother really the hero? Miss Valentine, mother, really hero. Sing me a song, you're a singer. Do me no wrong, you're a bringer of evil. The devil is never a taker. The less that you give, you're a taker. And it goes on and on and on. It's on and on. The lover of life's not a sinner. The ending is just the beginning. The closer you get to the meaning, the sooner you know that you're dreaming of the moon. And it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. Goes on and on and on. It's on and on. When I saw you in there, knew you were the man. Came alive.
Thank you. Yeah! Thank you! Thank you, you've been amazing. You've been wonderful, thank you. We're going to finish with a song called Black Sabbath.
What is this that stands before me? Figure in black, which points at me. Turn around quick and start to run. Find out I'm the chosen one. Big black shape with eyes of fire. Telling people their desire. Satan sitting there, he's smiling. Watches those flames get higher and higher and higher.
Okay, Ian Gillan.
Good morning, good evening, good day.
Bert Bevan, Geezer Butler, and me, Tony Iommi. That's me.
Now, you're
Honestly.
new,
Yep.
and you're new.
Yep.
You both have come from very different kinds of backgrounds to a heavy metal group, a very popular heavy metal group with a long history. Did it take a lot of thinking to make the decision to join?
Not once I'd met Tony and Geezer.
Why is that?
Well, because I realised that we were similar. I was impressed by their attitudes, their sort of hunger and drive and belief in what they were still doing after all these years. And also we have the same habits.
The same
Habits.
habits. What kinds of habits?
Drinking habits.
Terrible drinking habits.
The first meeting we had was in a pub in England, halfway between London and Birmingham, and I think after about 2 hours the meeting was adjourned to under the table.
So you knew these were your kind of guys.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, you started out, you were telling me that you were the first Jesus Christ?
Well, not the original.
I mean, it wasn't in your bio and about your parents.
I think I'll be getting a better record deal if I was, but... No, I was the original Jesus Christ on the original recording of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Now, that's a big step to go from that to Black Sabbath, a group considered, you know, connected somehow with evil. Was that a consideration?
Well, not at all, really. I mean, it was so long since I did the Superstar thing, and I think a lot of people were asking me, how did you feel, and did you think a lot about Jesus and everything when I did it? Well, I didn't actually think about it at all, except at the end when I was doing the sayings from the cross. And that was, you know, I thought a bit about that. But afterwards I thought about it, because people were asking questions all the time, so you do have to give it some thought and give a reasonable answer. And obviously a lot of people have been asking about the satanic connotations of Black Sabbath and everything else.
Sure.
And really the only answer is that we, as far as I'm concerned, we're just playing music, and I think that we're not trying to do any harm to anybody, and I don't think there's any evil intention. It's just that sometimes this image is taken a little too seriously by a lot of people. I think it frightens some people as well. But basically we just concentrate on the music.
You came from an entirely different kind of music. You had been with ELO, the Electric Light Orchestra. You were playing kind of a soft rock. Now you're into the big, heavy metal.
Yeah.
That was a big change for you.
I guess it was, but I started off playing real heavy rock and roll music. That's the sort of drumming I like to do. I started way off many, many years ago, around before Jesus Christ here was born. Playing in a band called The Move. We did a lot of heavy stuff in those days, and then ELO sort of mellowed out rather, and I got a little bit lazy. But now there's no chance of that now with these guys. I have to work hard every night.
Now, heavy metal, how would you describe the music that you make?
Not me.
See, I don't want to do that. Well, try.
I think just people put that label on it, heavy metal, as a heavy rock band. It's just that label, really, heavy metal.
But there's different kinds of rock.
Yeah, it's just a heavy chord, vocal, drum, everything else. Noise.
Loud. How about loud? Would that word help you in your description?
You might.
We have a roll-in of one of your older concerts.
Very old.
Just to maybe kind of help us with a definition. You have, pardon? What about the decibel level of the music that you play? I mean, you get a lot of criticism about that. What are your feelings about that? What about you?
I think it's the size of the arenas that we play. You know, you're playing to 20,000 people.
They can all hear you. There's no question, no problem with that.
And the kids come to expect it. You know, they want to be smashed up against the wall, volume and things like that. You know, it's a lot quieter on stage actually than out front. But the kids, in fact, if you're not loud enough, the kids are the first to complain to you.
Complain now.
Yeah, they just like want to have it washed all over them. You know, the sound.
Back now with Black Sabbath. You know, your theme, Black Sabbath, has been connected with evil and that whole concept. How did you come up with that? And how has it held up through the years? You've been together now 15 years. You've gotten a lot of criticism about it, a lot of questions about it, and yet that's still your name, and you're still, you know, talking about the underside of life.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, you know I am. The one who doesn't want to talk to me. Mommy. What about that thing?
Ask him, he used to write the words.
Well, I think we just, the music needed to go in a different direction from, when we first got together, the music wanted to sounded evil anyhow, so obviously the lyrics went with that, but it wasn't only about Satanism and stuff like that. It was about, again, anti-war, anti-nuclear. A lot of it was science fiction, as in things like Iron Man. And it was just like, complimenting the music, really, the lyrics.
Is this kind of a large joke? I mean, you guys are just guys.
Well, if it's an expensive one, then if it is.
It's paying off very well, but I mean, I think a lot of people think you're probably into devil worship and satanics and a lot of heavy stuff. And I may be wrong, but you come off as just four guys out there making music, having fun and making some money. I mean, am I wrong?
It's an entertainment more, it's what we do best.
No, I'm talking about the evil thing.
Well, I just joined. I'm the newest member, and I don't find any one of them evil at all. The friendliest guys in the world.
So why that theme, and why still now? I mean, this is many years later, and you're still, your new album has a picture of what looks like the baby Lucifer. It's called Born Again, with the long claws and the great-looking kid. You're still at it. Why?
Because we're good at it.
It's the work.
We're good at being bad. Is that the
It's the work of the devil, really.
What do you mean?
Well, basically, I think there's a certain amount of genuine writing to uphold the image which was started a long time ago. And I think, quite frankly, the more people start attacking us and criticising us, the more we're tempted to follow that route. I think
it helps.
Partially, partially it's being mischievous, I suppose, but in another sense, it's also taken a swipe at things that we don't like. And there are a lot of things that irritate us. And I think one of the themes of rock and roll when it started was to be rebellious and anti-establishment and to try and knock down a lot of the things which weren't good for young people. And I think that attitude still stays with us now. And I think the more that we're attacked, we don't go out and attack anyone, but the more we're attacked from establishment sort of ideas, then the more we kind of retaliate. And it comes out tongue-in-cheek sometimes, but also comes out in very valid lyrics, which are either a condemnation or a praise of things in contemporary life.
Do you think that your audience is taking you seriously? Are they hearing what you're saying, the way you're trying to communicate it, or are they taking you more seriously than you had intended?
I think they're taking us seriously as much as we're putting over.
I think they're taking us serious as musicians and the music, but I don't think that they go out and worship Satan because of it, We're not.
There were a couple stories people told me. They said that the Son of Sand Killer used to listen to your music, and that one young woman committed suicide while listening to your records.
But you also had people like Charles Manson that listened to the Beatles stuff, like Helter Skelter and stuff like that.
So you figure...
No matter what music you play...
You don't feel responsible or connected to any of that?
You're always going to get somebody that's going to read something into it and...
That's why they can always put something onto it.
So
do what they
new
want.
members, but no new direction as far as evil. You're going to be still out there selling the old Black Sabbath image and making that
the new Black Sabbath
very
image.
audible sound.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks for being with us on Night Watch.
Thank
Black
you.
Sabbath.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It really was a meeting. The Bible took the beating. believe